Oh, hello there. To which we say to all of you out there, hi, hello, and how are you doing? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. This wonderful lady right across here is my good friend Tracy Barkley from the channel known as GenX Marks the Spot, and you have tuned in. Wait a minute, can we call it tuned in? What do you call it? Do you dial into the internet? No, you don't dial in anymore.
Log in, pop in, click in.
You have clicked in to one of the best live streams that you will find on Wednesdays, the Wednesday Night Newsroom, a midweek review of things going on in the news, hosted by, again, this lovely lady right over here, Miss Tracy Barkley, and by yours truly, the Front Porch Conservative. Tonight we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you would not mind, please do both of us a big old favor, as we say here in the South. If you're not a subscriber to both of our channels, number one, give this lady a sub, daggone it. She's out there working hard, beating the brush, trying to bring the stories that everybody cares about, trying to grow her channel, doing her thing, and otherwise trying to make it in this crazy internet world. And by the way, while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, which just went over 1,000. Woot woot. Thank you very much. And we now are also on, well, we're not also on Rumble. We've been on Rumble for a while, but you can subscribe to me at both places. And while you're at it, leave some nice comments on both of our videos. Hit the thumbs up. Share our links around. Do all those things that you guys do that make our channels grow. We are here to serve you and hopefully get some subscribers. Anyway, this is Tracy Barkley from GenX Marks the Spot. She covers pop culture, movie reviews, true crime, all kinds of really genuinely cool things. And y'all know me. I'm sometimes known as the fine fella in the fedora, but I am above all else in this hour, at this moment, your host. Again, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on YouTube. So please subscribe, do all those things that you do, make our lives a whole lot better just by one little click of the button. So, Tracy, how you doing tonight, dear?
Doing great. It's great to be back with you on your channel. And I am so sorry I wasn't able to attend your Monday night 1,000 subscriber celebration. I meant to come, but then some stuff got away from me, and I looked up and it was over, and I'm so sorry.
That is perfectly fine. It was a well-attended celebration and had a lot of fun doing it. Saw some. There were some people there that, I bless their hearts, I had sent out the invite, but I did not expect them to make it, and I was just tickled to death. So yes, it was quite the party. Glad to have everybody there, and let us begin as we are wont to see who is in the house this night. Robert has sauntered in. Fist bump for you, my brother. One of our favorite crazy Canadians is in the house. Hello, Adam. How are you doing, sir? Let's see. What else do we have here? What Elon would call positive comments.
No hashtags required. He's been on a rant.
Has he now? Has he now?
Hashtags are pointless. Stop using them.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, if Elon speaks, we all listen.
On the Twitter.
On the Twitter, yes. Let's see. The Wingnuts are assembled over on Rumble. WWG1 has been doing his meme thing, and TBA is in the house. He says, "Good evening, Fedora Nation." He's late. I am not late, sir. I arrived much like Gandalf Grey. I arrive precisely when I mean to. So there you go. No, I'm not looking for my pants, WWG1. My pants are firmly ensconced on my backside. Thank you very much. However,
mine aren't. They are.
Okay, then.
They are. I swear, they are.
Good evening, madame. Oh, Miss Courtney's in the house.
Courtney, and up in Connecticut. Hello.
Yes, hello, you lovely ladies. You lovely ladies. You ladies of Spain.
Adam, he said Gandalf the Grey, not Gandalf the White.
Yes.
We know our wizards over here.
That's right, daggone it. Just chill out. Now, she's already in her PJs, bless her heart. Well, as hard as you work, darling, I am not surprised that you're already in your PJs, and I totally respect that.
I didn't say what kind of pants I had on.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Gina is over on the Rumble side. Hello, Shorty. How are you doing tonight, darling? So good to have you guys here. Oh my gosh, it's already Wednesday. Good grief. And as usual, 2025 is not disappointing with news. And boy, have we got a bunch of it to get into tonight. All kinds of stuff. So with that, I tell you what, we're going to let Tracy kick it off, and then we'll roll from there. So, Tracy, what do you have first on the agenda for the night?
I don't know which of these nuts to crack first because they all lead into different things. But I think we'll start with the confirmation hearings in the Senate.
Yeah, who says television's boring anymore? I mean, really,
all I have to do is click over to Twitter, and there's just video of people screaming at each other in Congress.
Yeah.
It's all political theater.
Speaking of which, and I know that neither one of us had teed this one up, but you just made me think of something. Did you see the exchange between Congressman Jasmine Crockett of Tennessee and Nancy Mace of South Carolina?
I've heard about it. I didn't have the strength, but if you want to tee it up, go right ahead. I'd love to see it.
we can do it for later in the show. I'll do it on my side, but I thought we were going to have our first cat fight of 2025 in Congress. No, because from what I understand, one of them invited the other out in the hallway.
Yeah, I believe it was Nancy Mace invited her out into the. Now, being from Tennessee myself, I'm not proud of Miss Crockett. I think she's 100% ghetto. I know she's had some exchanges, and now look, I know Nancy Mace is a showboater, and I know Marjorie Taylor Greene's a showboater, and Marjorie Taylor's about as white trash as I am. I don't have any opinions on Nancy Mace other than I know she's a showboater, but I'm not going to comment on her social status. But so I know she's been, she's gotten into some spats with Crockett's gotten herself into some spats with other low tier congressmen. Let's just put it that way. And I miss the days that Congress people conducted themselves to a certain standard.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I believe Crockett is Texas, not Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Thank God. I don't like either of them. And it was a silly thing to argue over. I mean, it was a bill to block biological men from participating in sports with biological females. To me, that is a very common sense thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got the clip. If you want. All right. So a committee hearing is being held, and normally when you hear committee hearing in Congress, you think of it as being a very dry affair. Well, not so much, ladies and gentlemen. As always, give me a sound check on this. Let me know if it sounds okay, and do me a favor. Check this out.
Somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want to find out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those emails actually have
ceilings.
Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Order.
Point of order.
Okay, I'm backing this up because that's just, now that I got this thing teed up properly, let me go through that one more time, just for the sake of. Here we go.
Somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all to tell me whether or not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want to find out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those emails actually have
ceilings.
Chairman, I am reclaiming my time.
You will not do that. I am not a child.
I am reclaiming my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not in order.
Order.
Point of order.
Order.
Oh my God. Holy cow.
It's funny in a way. I want to laugh at it, but in a way, I'm just disgusted. No one likes politicians. Nobody does.
Exactly.
But can't we have some demeanor? I mean, I understand that what Crockett was saying was a very ghetto thing to say. You don't call somebody a child. How would she
That's
feel
true.
if somebody called her a child? Especially how would she feel if a white congressperson called a black man boy? There's
Yep.
connotations to that.
Yep.
You don't
Yep.
call people that. So she should have
Exactly.
conducted herself first in a professional manner, but Nancy May should have also taken the higher road and conducted herself in a professional manner. There's a way you could have shut that down and not made yourself look ghetto.
Exactly. And let's see. Hang on. TBA over on Rumble says, "Look at all the men trying to ignore the cat fight." Yeah, I mean, they start going at it, and all the men are like, "Oh shit, here we go."
And neither of them are, with all this conversation, with women in combat. I know that's different, definitely different. Shouldn't we should be comporting ourselves to a much higher standard in every single job that we do right now, particularly if you're in Congress. There's already people questioning what women can do and what women can't do. Why is it always, in my opinion, the women acting like this? Why?
Yeah, and remember, dueling is not allowed in the District of Columbia, Nancy. So, look, you might want to do something drastic here, but you're not allowed legally to duel in the District of Columbia. So, yeah, remember what happened to some people. Just saying. Now, Shorty over on Rumble says, unpopular take. Let me find her comment here. Hang on. Yeah, unpopular opinion here. Women do not belong in these roles. I know what now, and that's fine. You can feel now. You can feel that way, Shorty. I have not a problem with women in Congress. Okay, I don't have a problem with women in the Senate. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with a woman president or whatever. But it's like Tracy said, there are ways of doing things, and there are ways of doing things. Okay.
You can port yourself like a lady, no matter where you are. Mm-hmm. And I totally disagree with you, Shorty. Of course, I totally disagree with you. Mm-hmm. But there are standards that everybody should be held to. Personally, I think the fact they let Fetterman come in there with shorts and baggy fleeces on is also just sacrilege.
I agree.
And there's a certain standard.
Exactly.
That needs to be upheld. Women have just as good a minds as men. And I only need to point you to some great monarchs of past to show you how well women can lead. Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Elizabeth I, Catherine the Great.
True.
Empress Matilda. I can point you to so many that going all the way back to the Bible. Deborah, the judge, chosen by God himself.
And put a tent spike in the head of one of her enemies. So, yep, my kind of woman. It's like, you think you're leaving my tent? Hell no, you ain't.
Esther, even though Esther she was queen of Babylon, or Persia, and was chosen to save her people.
TBA over on Rumble says, Shorty, let me back this up. Shorty says, and this is not in response necessarily to you, but this is just her opinion. Talking about women, we think with our hearts too much. We are very emotional. It's just our nature. And TBA responds, Shorty, I agree. Maybe women need more balls to be in Congress. Oh, wait, never mind. So.
But I agree that all Congress people need to comport themselves in a higher standard. I would not be opposed to etiquette classes being taught and mandatory for all new members of Congress to go through, being written into parliamentary procedure about this is how you respond.
Yes.
This is how we do things. Bring back, what were the rules of fine etiquette, Miss? Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the
30s.
Now, Adam has one proviso on his idea about a duel being allowed between these two women. He says you should allow for an exception if you can somehow get mud wrestling involved in this. I was like,
we're a spectacle for the rest of the world. I don't like it. And as much as I love Trump and I love the fact he's a bull in a china shop, but I do wish
I agree.
He wouldn't troll Canada. That makes us look bad. I know he was trolling Trudeau and it was funny and we all laughed at it, but I wish he would tone that down just a little bit. And I know he's very capable. So I just wish that we could be a little more professional, as Andy Griffith would used to say, professional.
Professional. Yep. Now that we went down our first rabbit hole tonight,
up in Connecticut, Emily Post. Yes, bring back Emily Post.
There you go. All right, you had the first topic of the night before I totally derailed you, so I'm going to step out the way and let you do your thing. So,
all right. Well, going into more cat fights in Congress, we've had confirmations for CIA.
So far, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, CIA, Secretary of State. I keep thinking there was one more, and I cannot remember which one it is off the top of my head. But most of those happened today. The Hegseth hearing happened yesterday, and oh my Lord. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let's go. Let's talk about Pete Hegseth.
All right.
I think he did a marvelous job holding his own against what could only be called an ambush to the level of Custer's Last Stand. The Democrats did nothing but swarm on him the whole time. I think the most frustrating part of this political theater here is the fact that no one has enough respect for anyone else to let them finish. I never saw a question asked by the Democratic senators that were questioning Pete Hegseth in which they allowed him to respond without talking over him. And that infuriated me.
Yeah.
For example, let's, if you don't mind, good sir, I sent you a link to the Hegseth Warren clip. Do you mind bringing that up?
Oh, I've got it.
Let's bring it up. That to me is this is the most egregious. Now the whole Christine Gillibrand, that's a whole other thing. But to me, this is the best example of just the teenage antics that were going on in our Senate.
Madam Director, when would you like me to roll this one?
Oh, roll it.
All right.
You're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
Now, wait a minute. I got to say something right here. She looks off to the side. She starts to smile. She realizes, oh, crap, I've just been had. But here's the rest of the clip.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals. You're
yeah, she got owned on that one. I'm sorry.
It just exposed her ignorance. And the whole deal with her coming down on what he said in 2013 with what he said 2 weeks ago, without listening to the man. She kept talking over him. All he was trying to say is he's okay with women in combat as long as they can meet male established standards. He's not for the lowering of standards. And I agree with him. I only served 2 years myself in the Army, but I have friends that retired and are still in there, after 20 something years. And the females that advance very, very high in military intelligence and other things that women are good at. Yep. And they would say the same thing about standard come to combat roles. Women have been in combat since Clara Barton started the Red Cross during the Civil War.
Yep.
All the nurses were in combat zones. They're still in combat zones. You have military doctors that are female in combat zones. It's only a recent phenomenon that we wanted to put a weapon in a woman's hand and put her on the front line. I don't think most women are qualified for that. There's a myriad of reasons. Number one, physical standards. Number two, as much as they try to ply it out of us, there is the risk. And I know people will say this is the men's problem. And yes, it is. But it still affects the strength of our military. Men will have a tendency to try to protect females, and they tend to linger over wounded females and incapacitated females a lot longer than they would a male. You also have, if you are captured as a female, the things they're going to do to you are things you would never write home to your grandmother about.
No.
To me, that's the greatest fear. I don't want to think about a 28-year-old mother getting captured and, you know, somebody doing what they're going to do to her.
Yeah, I mean, I go back many years ago to the late Rush Limbaugh, one of his favorite expressions. The military has two purposes: kill people and destroy things. Mm-hmm. And people can say, oh, well, that's awfully barbaric. No, that is the point of a military. Now, yes, we say, oh, for national defense. Well, one of the things you may wind up having to do in a moment of national defense is you got to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, your point is valid. If your person next to you in the foxhole is female, you're not necessarily going to be thinking about how many of my enemy can I kill out there, wherever they may be. You're thinking about, I've got to protect my fellow soldier who also happens to be a woman. And that instinct's going to kick in a little bit higher. I'm sorry. That is just biology. It's just going to happen that way.
You have a wounded woman that is obviously going to bleed out and die because she has a massive chest wound that no medic can help her with.
Right.
There's going to be a man standing over her trying to do his best to resuscitate her or carry her out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he would not do that for another man.
No. I mean, you know, we need a military that is focused on its job, not social experimentation. And I'm sorry, you want to right the wrongs of the world, go do it in some other institution. Don't do it in the military. It's got one job: kill people and destroy things. That's it.
The Spartans, the Greek state of Sparta, which is a model for an efficiently well-trained military. Mm-hmm. People talk about how women in Sparta were trained to fight. Yes, they were. As a last resort. They weren't put into the ranks of the army because the Spartans knew that men were superior fighters. Women were trained to become purveyors of death only if Sparta, the walls of Sparta were breached. Mm-hmm. In that they were trained to, if they had to, throw their babies at the enemy soldiers. That would be a shock. And then that would give them the chance to kill the enemy. Okay, you're an enemy soldier. All of a sudden, somebody drops a baby. What are you going to do? You're going to stop and go at it. Oh my God, somebody dropped a baby. That's going to give another woman a chance to bring an axe down on your head. Mm-hmm. That's how women were trained to fight in Sparta. It's a historical record. They were not trained in the army, regardless of all the myths you hear about women warriors in the Vikings. Yes, some women fought, but it was always a last resort.
Yeah,
they
and that's
usually fought to protect the home. They were the last source of defense for the children, for the elderly. They would fight under those circumstances. But you've never had a civilization actually send women on the front lines into battle, except modern Israel, and even they, I think, dialed it back after they realized the issues with it.
Yeah, TBA over on Rumble is backing up your point. Says, war is barbaric. The women in Sparta were the last line of defense if the army of men didn't hold the line. Last resort to protect the children. Yeah, I mean, look, are there things that women can do in a combat situation? Yes. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to do them. And it's like you said, historically, they've been doing them throughout the decades and the centuries of the United States military for as long as it's been in existence. But there's just some things, I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned if you wish, but there are just some things women should not be doing. And I'm sorry, putting them on a frontline combat role is just not one. When I say frontline combat role, I mean put them in a trench or a foxhole with another soldier. I'm sorry,
Women soldiers have been in second line combat since the Civil War. Since before that, since ancient times, there have been female caretakers in a war zone, but they are further back and they are taking care of the wounded after other men have drugged the wounded back to them or put them on a wagon and took them, but they are back there in that harm's way taking care of the wounded. Yes, they are. And women have been killed doing that, but that is what we are suited for. We are caretakers.
And I am not saying that women cannot be lethal, and I'm not saying they cannot be a crack shot. I'm not saying there's certain things they could not do better than a man, depending on who the woman is. But in general, I'm sorry, I want an all in a front line. I want men. No offense to you ladies out there that want to protect and serve, but there are a million and one ways to do it without putting you right on a front line in a combat situation.
Yeah. We're just, I'm sorry, we're just not suited for it. I'm sure there's one woman in a million that may be suited for it. And if you can find that woman and she can pass at the established male standards, okay, roll the dice. But that's not the majority of women.
Yeah. But yeah, the Hegseth hearing had a whole bunch of different, you would think that the Democrat Party, having just had their butts handed to them in November, would sort of fall back, regroup, recalibrate, think about what they're going to do, and then move forward. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a little bit of Sean Parnell's live stream Battleground before I came on here tonight, and he made a very valid point. The smart play for the Democrats in the Hegseth hearing especially would have been to go after Pete Hegseth on policy, foreign policy, certain policy questions. And it's not to say that Pete couldn't have answered them, but it really would have made him dance because there's just only so much you could have prepared for.
Yeah, exactly. He's been a combat officer, but how much policy has he actually written?
Yeah. Exactly.
How much strategy he's executed strategy, but how much has he actually written? And then on top of it, beyond that, he's been a news anchor and a news reporter. I mean, really, they could have probably dealt some damage if they had on policy, but no, they attacked him for his stance on females in combat. They attacked him on the affairs he's had, and he admitted, I messed up.
Yeah,
on drinking, which none of the people asking those questions probably had any military experience, because I can tell you, people in the military, with the exception of a few, we are hedonists.
Yeah,
degenerates.
Yeah. No offense to y'all. Love y'all in the military. Y'all wear the uniform. You're doing stuff that I couldn't, or what? Not I wouldn't do it, but I could. Some things I couldn't do. But
especially combat men, they don't know, especially in a wartime situation, they don't know when their next breath might be their last. So yeah, they're whooping it up.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just all kind. I mean, I've got let me see. I think I've got a couple or three clips myself from this hearing. Let's see. We did the Liawatha one. Oh, did you see the Mazie Hirono, the senator from Hawaii?
Yeah, that hot mess. Yeah, I saw some of that.
I've got the clip.
She just speaks so on like a 5th grade level. I don't understand how she got elected. I really don't. Are the people of Hawaii just so... did no one else run? Could we not find anybody else in Hawaii that was better than her?
I will say this: if Mazie Hirono is representative of the people of Hawaii, and I know she's not, but if on the off chance she were, I am scared to death for Hawaii going forward. But
I'm sure it was because she was a native Polynesian, probably a native Hawaiian. I understand that, but there are a lot of professional, intelligent, well-spoken native Hawaiians that they could have gotten to fill that role, not her.
Well, and if you want, and Frank, and I said this backstage, Mazie Hirono, the senator from Hawaii, may be the dumbest, individual in the United States Senate. And considering some of the people that are there, Democrats and Republicans, that is saying a lot to say that Mazie Hirono may be the most stupid senator in the United States. And if you want some proof for that, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and check this one out, because this is going to blow your ever-loving mind.
By enforcing the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, in addition to the sexual assault allegations, and by the way, the answer to my second question should have been yes. I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work, including by people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
Senator, those
Yes
are
or no?
multiple false anonymous reports peddled by NBC
Do
News
you know that
run directly
drinking on the job
contradictory to
is
the dozens of men and women at
not
Fox News
contemplated?
Channel
And
who
I'm not
I work
hearing-
with
I'm
who
not
came
hearing
on
the
the
answer to my
record
question.
and said they've
In your
never
opening
seen
statement,
that.
Mr. Hicks, said you commit to holding leaders accountable at all levels. That includes you, of course.
I mean, this woman is just a blithering idiot.
She
I'm
sounds
sorry.
drunk right there. She sounds drunk.
And she might very well be, for all we know. I mean, just, I can't believe, I mean,
Are you really going to sit there and ask a former commissioned officer if he's not aware of the Uniform Code of Justice and that drinking on the job is prohibited? Is that really a necessary question? If you wanted to ask about that, the proper way to ask it was Mr. Hegseth or Lieutenant Hegseth, whatever rank he was when he discharged. I know you're aware of the Uniform Code of Conduct and Justice, and it prohibits drinking. So I have to address the allegations of you drinking on the job. Could you speak to those? That's the way you ask that question if you want to ask it.
yeah, I mean, good evening, Professor. Glad to have you in the house. I just, again, you would think the Democrats would like recalibrate how they're going to move going forward. It's the same thing. You guys in the Democrat Party, listen very carefully. Y'all had your butts handed to you in November on so many levels. Okay. Yes, you're down. It would take 4 seats for you to get the majority back. I get it. So in one sense, numerically, it doesn't look like you got your butts kicked as hard as you did, but you did. The American people rejected your style of politics because that's all you did to Donald Trump for the better part of 2.5 years while he was in political exile. You attacked, you threw up roadblocks, you filibustered, you brought up issues that didn't matter, yada, yada, yada. So Trump goes out and gets 77 million votes, 3 million more than he got in the last election, by the way. And as opposed to you guys stopping about it and saying, maybe we really need to go back and rethink this. No, you keep on doing the same thing, not necessarily to Trump, but to his nominees. You do it on national television, and people are looking at you going, why are you doing this to these people? We're not electing perfection. We're putting in a cabinet here, guys.
Exactly. And the whole thing it's theater. If they just go in there and professionally address these candidates on these nominees on policy, they're still trying to cater to the radical part of their party. The radical part of their party is the part of their party that lost them the election. They've got to come back towards center to normal Americans, and that means composing yourself in a way that looks like we're on the same team. It shouldn't be, I don't want you because you're a Republican, or I don't want you because you're a Democrat. We're all Americans. We should have what's best for America in mind, and that's what they need to do. But they're still trying to cater to that wild TDS Trump base, anti-Trump base that they have, and that's what lost them the election.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Republicans do it too. Republicans go on the attack all the time. I wish we would just start treating each other with some rapport. Yeah. And there was a question. There was a comment earlier from up in Connecticut. She said it looks to her like MAGA might be deteriorating. I see her point there, that it looks like there's a lot of infighting online now that we've defeated the big baddie, Joe Biden. Now we're all squabbling over little things.
Yeah,
and,
here it is.
Yeah. I don't think it's dwindling away. I think once Trump gets in there and we get the cabinet and there's some sort of peace, maybe, that you'll see MAGA come back together. But we've seen MAGA fight over, what Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk's stance on H-1Bs. I saw a fight between MAGAs today because somebody hates people that own pit bulls. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. I have a pit bull. He's over here right now laying. Yeah, that offends me a little bit, but I'm not going to go in there and start squabbling about it. You have the right to have that, but if you touch my pit bull, you're going to get my rifle butt right. I mean, my rifle right in your face. There's and I've seen them squabble over lots of things. They're squabbling over the fact that Donald Trump's not going to pardon J6 when he already says that he is. They're squabbling over, I don't like this nominee because they're not fully MAGA. Okay. You can't get everything you want. That's not how life works. That's definitely not how politics works.
Mm-hmm.
You take the good with the bad. When we start passing these big, beautiful bills that Trump's talking about, we're going to have to put a little bit of pork bacon right on top to get them through without Democrats, because we don't have the filibuster. We don't have the 60 person supermajority that we need in the Senate, nor do we have the 300 we would need in the House. We have to do a little bit of horse trading. So hopefully we keep that to a minimum and we get most of what we want. And that's the way you have to game it.
Okay. And I want to pop this up here. Not that I'm trying to put you and up in Connecticut into a fight against each other. And by the way, up in Connecticut, I saw your comment on Twitter today, and I'm going to do my best to get a video out because I want to deep dive into this ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. But so I just want to put this up here just for the sake of we'll get into what we know about the deal so far. I mean,
I've not read the deal. I don't know what's in the deal, so I can't comment on it.
Sure.
But I do know that Trump always has a plan.
Yeah.
I was just saying earlier,
more often than not,
it could be to get some of the hostages. He wants the American hostages back more than anything. I think he tries to get the American hostage, the ones that are still alive, or at least get their bodies back, get them back, and then he may unleash all hell or tell Israel to unleash all in hell on Hamas at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
I mean,
we don't
like
know
I
what
say,
his end game is there.
Yeah, we know there's a deal. Well, okay, and see, that's the part I'm waiting to see.
Yeah.
No offense to the Israelis and no offense to the Palestinians. That's your all's fight, your hostages. We're worried about ours. No, thank you. And yours too, but we're worried about ours before we start worrying about anybody else's. Okay.
No, we shouldn't be doing any horse trading until we get American hostages back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and believe me, I saw your comments. I'm going to do my best to do a dive into that thing and get a video out about it tomorrow. That's probably tomorrow evening, more than likely. But yeah, I mean, let's get this cabinet in place. And then let's roll. I mean, let's roll. Because, I mean, it's time to go on offense. I mean, don't get me wrong. I expect there to be a certain amount of infighting inside one's house. But it's time to roll. It's time to win. And do it big. So, yeah. But what else do you want to talk about from either the Hegseth or the Bondi or the other?
Bondi. And do you have the clip on the burner where she's going ham on Adam Schiff, and then that beautiful clip where Mark Wayne Mullen just lays into the Democrats, which I think is just beautiful.
Oh, you know what? Let's do the Mark Wayne Mullen one first, because I've got that. I've got both of them, but I've got that one teed up because I think the Mullen comment would be now. Let me set this up, and Tracy can chime in on this one. The Democrats yesterday went after Mark Wayne Mullen on infidelity. The Democrats went after Pete Hegseth on infidelity. They went after Pete Hegseth on drinking. They went after Pete Hegseth on this and that. Everything other than is he qualified to be Secretary of Defense. Well, finally, Mark Wayne Mullen got a belly full of it. Now, if you don't know Mark Wayne Mullen, he's a senator from Oklahoma. And A lot of issues I like him, some issues I don't. But
Mhm.
by and large, I kind of like Mark Wayne Mullen. And finally, he'd had a belly full of it. He got the attention of the chairman, Roger Wicker of Mississippi. And he teed off. Now, this clip runs about over 2 minutes. But frankly, it's worth every second of it because Mark Wayne Mullen did something that put everybody in their place and frankly should have been done long before it ever got to the point he felt the need to do this. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. All right.
It's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other in command. Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications. And I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not being able to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But you so quickly forget about that, and then Senator Kane, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? Don't tell me you haven't seen it because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No, but it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too. I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But I found somebody that thought I was perfect. And for whatever reason, you love Pete, and I don't know why. But just like our Lord and Savior forgave me, my wife's had to forgive me more than once too, and I'm sure you've had to forgive him too. And so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this was long overdue because after a few hours of this nonsense, yeah, somebody need to put these boys in their place. And I am so glad Mark Wayne Mullen absolutely lit these guys up. And he's right. How many times, and I can think of one name in particular, Lindsey Graham, he's supposedly a notorious drinker. How many senators have shown up for a vote at some hour of the day or evening or night, hammered into the next area code, but nobody's ever called their hand on it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And I'm glad Mullins did it. I really am.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And the guys in the back, the facial expressions, just that blank look, which means guilty.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pelosi, her favorite drink is a White Russian, and she'll suck them down like she's drinking water, But yet no one's ever called on her to resign from Congress or go to an AA meeting or anything else.
How many times on the Wednesday night newsroom or just on your live streams in general have I had a glass of wine and I have a very low alcohol tolerance that I have just been sloshed by the end of it, and just I'm the I'm the old white trash neighbor next door screaming on her yard, you know.
Get out! Yeah, on my
Remember election night?
on my porch. Get off my lawn, you crazy kids!
Remember election night?
Lord, that
I had to jump off. I was just torn up.
Oh Lord, yeah, you were turning loose on this on people. It's like I was like, go girl, go on, go. Let them have it. Go on, girl. TBA says, what about that congressional slush fund that Congress critters use to pay for sexual indiscretions? Yeah, exactly. And these Democrats
messing with interns.
Yeah, and these Democrats are going to have the unmitigated gall to sit there and say, well, sir, do you realize that you really shouldn't be drinking on the job? Really? This coming from you guys? Seriously? Oh my God, with these people.
How many senators have been caught with interns? How many underage people? How many straight senators and Congress people have been caught in bathrooms with the same sex? You know, and I love what he said, take the plank out of your eye.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just incredible. And then there's the hearings. I mean, don't get me wrong. For my part, to kind of wrap it up on Hegseth, I thought Hegseth was absolutely brilliant.
But yeah, and then you go to Blue Sky or Facebook, and all the liberals are talking about how Warren destroyed him, how Homani destroyed him, how all the. I'm like, did you watch the same thing that I watched? They shouted. The liberals that I have tried to like have a conversation with, or the leftists rather, they don't let you get a word in edgewise. They just they do what I call steamrolling you. They just steamroll you. They don't let you get a word in edgewise. They don't let you answer, and that's exactly what those senators were doing to Hegseth. They would not let him get a word in edgewise. That's how they win, by not letting you talk. But when he was able to talk, he buried them.
Yeah, and 2 comments. WWG1 over on Rumble says, don't forget about the gay porn video taken in the Senate committee hearing room. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then you got small time with a very valid point. So Congress can have a slush fund for indiscretions, but Trump is a convicted felon for paying off a woman.
Yeah, with his own money. With his
own money not that somebody else's.
Generated, not with campaign funds, but with his own money from his business.
Yep, absolutely. Oh gosh. I mean, and then you've got today's hearings. By the way, did you know that Pam Bondi is 59 years old? I
did, but she looks like she's 39. And the fact that she is the same age as Krista Gillibrand, and to put them side by side, it looks like Cruella DeVille and Cinderella.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, who was it this morning? I was listening to the Steel Toe Morning Show on YouTube, which is hosted by Aaron Imholt. And he said, and he was talking about Gillibrand, actually. He said, man, do you remember her when she first came to Congress? I mean, she was looking blonde and hot and everything else. He's like, man, that job has worked on her. She looking rough. But Bondi, I mean, I was talking with the lady this evening. I said, do me a favor, pull up a picture of Pam Bondi. I said, pull up a picture of Pam Bondi. She's like, okay. I said, take a guess how old she is. She said, I don't know, 30. I think she said 43. I said, she is 59 years old. She's like, you are kidding me. She said, I want the name. I want to know what her skincare routine is. I want to know, who her surgeon is. Yeah. Her exercise
regimen that you can even see that reflects her age, or how she eats. I'm willing to bet she's probably low carb or carnivore. And
not probably.
The only thing that you can even see that even reflects her age is, all us women, we get that little chicken neck right here. She's got the chicken neck.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that even gives away that she's over 40.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but Bondi's hearing for Attorney General today had some highlights. I've got that clip that you sent me for her and the exchange with Schiff. Is there any part of that in particular you want me to tee up, or any? Because the clip runs like 7 minutes.
Let it play. It's 7 minutes. Okay. Don't let it go the entire time. It's just she just And she also told Hondi off when she said that, I would have answered these questions if you had met with me. You were the only senator here that did not meet with me.
Actually, I think I've got that clip. We can play it here in a second. Yep.
All right.
Anyway, so Senator Schiff, and the designee for Attorney General, the Honorable Pamela Bondi, met in the Judiciary Committee today. And why in God's name Schiff, old pencil neck, got on that committee, I have no idea. He was useless in the House. He's going to be equally as useless in the Senate. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he got assigned to the committee, and they had a row, as they say. So we'll play you a little bit of it. And with that, hey, Smokey, roll that one for me, would you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held...
Stop this right here for 1 second. I'm sorry. In a dangerously, breathtakingly irresponsible decision of the court said that Donald Trump can out and out break the law. Stop lying, you piece of Schiff. Okay, yeah. I got that out of the system. Let us continue. I'm sorry. I cannot stand this.
Absolutely valid. Absolutely valid.
All right, here we go.
The president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith. Is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. And sitting here today,
Senator,
72% of Americans
I only have 7
lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
Sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
are you aware of a?
Do I know if you committed a crime? I have not.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has asked me to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi.
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the
my
national
question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to say
confirmed as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. Also,
Okay, I'm going to stop that right there. This is the kind of stuff the Democrats did all day long with Bondi. It's like, my God, can you not? Is this all you've got? For you Democrats out there, is this all you've got? You've learned nothing since the election. You have learned absolutely nothing. You're going back to the same old tired, stale, dead, intellectually bereft playbook that is not serving you at all. The American people want to move on from this, and this is all you're offering. You're offering nothing of substance. You're offering nothing in the way of policy prescriptions. You are offering more of the same that you have done for the past 25 or 30 years. You deserve to go out into the wilderness until, by God, you learn some lessons. And then when you become mature political adults, please come back and let us have a discussion with you. And maybe then, only maybe then, together can we actually move forward to make the country better. But until you do, the adults are here. We're ready to govern. Now get the hell out the way.
That entire tirade was about one thing: protecting their own asses. He didn't ask a single question about policy, about her record in Florida, about what she was going to address. All he talked about was whether she was going to prosecute Liz Cheney. And, that's a nice little cover for, are you going to come after me? Because I've done some shit. That's exactly. He wants to know if they're going to prosecute people that were involved in the January 6th committee. That's all they care about. I'm so sick of January 6th. January 6th was not an insurrection. It was a protest on public grounds where some feds got people a little tanked up and a few people got a little violent. And I don't like the fact that they got a little violent, but it was not an insurrection. It was a protest, and it was a lot less violent than the fact that BLM burned down whole cities just the summer before. So you know what, Democrats and you lefties that keep talking about January 6th, the majority of us don't care about that. You can take January 6th and shove it up your ass. I am done talking about it. And so is the American people.
Yeah, WWG1 over on, well, let me start with TBA. TBA says, I heard that shifty shit as he fell asleep during the session. Oh, yes, he fell asleep during the hearing on this supposedly dangerous Attorney General nominee. WWG1 says, perjury traps are their favorite to use with nominees. TBA again, shifty shit has diarrhea of the mouth. They deserve to be tarred and feathered and then sent to Gitmo. Dems should be afraid of covering their own asses. J6 was an insurrection of the Congress against Trump. Go look at the facts. You get me not wrong from there, brother. You get me not wrong from there. And small time over on the YouTube side, the court's ruling on presidential immunity was actually very measured and just backed up how presidents. Yeah, I mean, the minute he opened his mouth, how can you tell when a Democrat's lying? Their lips are moving. Schiff opens his mouth and immediately misrepresents what that decision was. Completely misrepresented it. But is he going to admit to that?
It was in the normal course of duty. In the normal course of duty. They cannot be prosecuted for decisions they make in the normal course of their duties. It does not give them carte blanche to send armed agents to a political... Guess who did that? You did that. You sent FBI agents to Mar-a-Lago to confiscate documents that the president is allowed to have because he can declassify them. You did it to Biden, and the only reason Biden wasn't prosecuted is because he's too freaking senile. And I almost said a wordy word.
That's all right. We believe in free speech here. It just, I mean, and even in the decision from the court, and even in those areas where it's even slightly in dispute, the court established a test for how to determine is this a presidential action? Is this not something that's a presidential action? And it's a decision that's a test that's to be administered by the lower courts. That ruling that they handed down in late June or early July was measured, even-handed. They navigated some water that they did not want to have to be in the middle of. But then again, they were left with no choice. Why? Because the Democrats kept forcing the issue. So finally they said, all right, 200 plus years, have a ruling on it.
Yeah. January 6th committee. That was nothing but grandstanding to prevent Trump from running.
Yep.
When that didn't work, they started all the other bogus federal cases against him. The documents, the RICO case in Atlanta, the civil case for sexual assault against E. Jean Carroll, who's nothing but a big old whore. Anyway, seriously,
a crazy whore.
Totally made up. Yeah, and then the RICO case in Atlanta. Everything they could do to keep Trump from running. They wanted him to either drop out, and because he might figure that they'll just drop all this crap if he doesn't run. Either that, or they would find some loophole to prevent him from taking office because he's a convicted felon. But guess what? The Supreme Court said you can't do that.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all political theater and a waste of tax dollars and a waste of time when all those things could have been. And the American people have spoken so many times on this. When Liz Cheney was voted out by like a 70% margin in Wyoming, that was the American people saying, we stop this January 6th, all the protests to get the January 6th people pardoned. And then finally, the election where the Democrats were handed their proverbial ass, and they still don't realize that they're doing it wrong.
TBA over on Rumble says they tried the hush money case. There were assassination attempts against Trump, everything. And normal people would actually be like, okay, this isn't working. Should we rethink what we're doing here? Normally that would happen. Not with the Democrats. Let's keep on doing the same old thing. I mean, who was it today? Was it? Yeah, I think it was Rich Barris on his show Inside the Numbers made the comment that the Republicans in 2026 might get bailed out, not because they're so good at what they do. It's that the Democrats are so extreme and they won't give it up. They won't give up their extremeness. That might be the one saving grace that the Republicans have in the midterm congressional elections, is that the Democrats are so over the top, so far out there, and not willing to try to come back to the center, that the Republicans might hold on to one or both houses of the Congress. And if they do that, there's no stopping Trump at that point.
As much as I would like to see Liz Cheney prosecuted, and I would, and Adam Schiff, and can't do anything to Hunter right now. But as much as I would like to see all those people have their day in court, as much as that Schadenfreude would just make me so happy, I really just want Trump to get down to business. If he just gets down to business and does the things he wants to do, and MAGA does the things they want to do, then we will retain Congress and might even extend our lead in 2026.
Agreed. All right, what else do you want to talk about on the hearings, my dear?
Well, let's see. That was it, unless you want to play that little exchange between Pam and Hondi.
Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Hawaiian Liz Warren there.
Oh God. Yeah, she is. Let me see. There's one. Is that it?
Oh, I agree. Small Time Republic. We need to have that file on Thomas Crook opened.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to know that. I want to know about the guy in the in the Cybertruck outside the Las Vegas Trump Tower. I want to know about the guy they found, more about the guy that they found lurking in the bushes with a gun at in Florida, in Palm Beach. I want to know about everyone they sent to take out Trump. And I don't know if they're internal or external. I'm sure some of them are foreign. I'm sure some of them are internal. I want to know about them. I also want to know about the Epstein list. I want to know about the Diddy list. I want the full manifesto, something close to home. I want the full manifesto of the Covenant school shooter here in Nashville. I want the curtain dropped down on this terrible ideology that is, when they said that we were about to experience the worst mental health crisis we've seen in a long time, they weren't kidding. I really thought, oh, that's just whatever. But no, seeing what's happened, yes, there is a full-blown TDS meltdown going on. These people that literally think Trump is Satan incarnate are just running wild in the streets. And I don't know what we can do to help them other than get them off the streets for a while. Let them calm down.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I've got that. I've got a clip pulled up of Mazie Hirano and questioning Bondi, and this runs about a minute 55. But again, just to give you an idea of how dumb she is, Mazie Hirano, and the Democrat Party in general right now. I want you to listen to this exchange because this is absolutely just unbelievable. And with that, in Smokey, you got it ready? Okay. In 3, 2, hit it, boy.
So that sounds to me that you're saying that the White House will not have any kind of role. Meanwhile, though, you have an incoming president who said, I have the absolute right to do what I want to do with the Justice Department. And in fact, President-elect Trump considers the DOJ to be his law firm. I ask you this. If President-elect Trump suggests, or hints that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived political enemies, would you do so?
Senator Hirano, I wish you had met with me. Had you met with me, we could have discussed many things and gotten to know.
I'm listening to you now. Could you respond to the question?
Yeah, you were the only one who refused to meet with me, Senator. But what we would have discussed is that it is the job of the Attorney General to
I'm very
follow
happy to listen
the
to your
law.
responses under oath, Ms. Bondi. So I think it's really important to us that the Attorney General be independent of the White House. And you have a president-elect who considers the AG's office his law firm. I would like to know whether if the president suggests, hints, asks that you as Attorney General should investigate one of his perceived enemies?
Senator, I certainly have not heard the president say that. But what I will tell you is 2/3 of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice. And it's statements like that, I believe,
Ms.
that make people continue to lose faith. If I am confirmed as Attorney General, it will be my job
Getting
to
on
not
to my
only
next
keep
question,
America
you're not
safe,
responding.
but restore integrity to that department.
Why don't we
and that's
move
what
on
I
to
plan
something
on
that
doing
you said
every single day as Attorney General.
on August 20th?
You know, it cracks me up, Tracy, and I mean, I'd like your take on this. Well, I don't hear I don't hear a response to my question. That should be better translated. You're not answering my question the way I want you to.
Yeah, I don't like your answer. She did respond. She said you were the only senator on the committee that did not meet with me, that refused to meet with me. In those individual meetings is where you get the majority of your answers. That is where you get the majority of your answers. It's like a deposition in a trial. That's where the long form testimony is taken. Yeah. And then the actual trial, which is what the equivalent of this is, you don't rehash that entire long. You bring up snippets. So as far as her not preparing with a deposition, Ms. Bondi answered it perfectly well. I would have given you the extended answer had you bothered to meet with me. I'm here to talk about my qualifications for this job.
Yeah, and to Rohan, correct me if I am wrong, but she isn't under oath? Actually, I believe she is I do believe she is. A nominate, as far as I know, and I could be wrong about this, but a nomination hearing is like any other hearing before a congressional committee. You are sworn to tell the truth.
And does she really think Donald Trump took her aside and said, I'm going to go after Liz Cheney, I'm going to go after Adam Schiff, I'm going to go after Hawaii
Joe
and
and
Elizabeth
Hillary
Warren, I'm going to
yeah.
go after all of them, and I want you to prosecute them. Does she really think that conversation happened? No, that conversation didn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. TBA over on Rumble says, perjury trap deployed on Bondi. Bondi escapes again. Brian, you are right. The Dems are trying to get Bondi to say she won't go after them for treason. Yeah, I mean, they're setting or trying to set her up the same way they set up Jeff Sessions in his hearings back in 2017. And he said, well, I've got to step aside on this one. Enter Rod Rosenstein, enter, Robert Mueller investigation, and away we go. So absolutely ridiculous. One last clip to wrap up the discussions on the hearings so far. And let me just say this.
And
go ahead.
That Joe Biden has not used the DOJ as his personal attack force.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Times.
Man.
Yeah, the New York Times in March of 2023 published a story. It was either New York Times or Time Magazine saying that Joe was frustrated with Merrick Garland because Merrick Garland was moving fast enough to start prosecutions against Trump. I mean, that's a matter of public record. That's not us sitting here making up some kind of supposed conspiracy. That is actually out there and can't be researched by anybody. Go back to March of is either 22, but I'm thinking it's 23, where Joe Biden is neither New York Times or Time Magazine had a story that said Biden was very frustrated with his Attorney General Merrick Garland on the grounds that Merrick Garland was not moving fast enough to prosecute Trump on matters that Biden felt like he ought to be prosecuted on.
Exactly.
So,
he was the one. It's projection, just like Robert said. It's projection, and they're afraid it's going to be done to them.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Adam Schiff just won re-election, so he's there another 6 years. He is petrified because I'm surprised he didn't give up his seat and flee the country. I really am. He's petrified, and if they win more of a majority in 2026, it might happen. May not happen under Trump. It could happen under the next president, which I will believe will be J.D. Vance. But I hope they get their comeuppance. Either they do get prosecuted, or Trump just gets down to business and secures MAGA's future in the government, and then people just vote them out because they see what wastes they are.
Oh, absolutely. And let me tell you something, folks. If these hearings going forward are anything like yesterday with Pete Hegseth, I think the American people are going to understand this is what every Trump nominee gets to look forward to in all their hearings going forward. So check this out.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Veterans organizations that will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line.
There you go, folks. That's exactly what every Trump nominee is probably going to be looking forward to going forward in all this.
They're all better people than me because I would have probably lost my temper.
Oh, I know I would have.
And I would have called her. I'd called her a bitch.
When Adam Schiff says, I only have 7 minutes, I'd have responded, yeah, it would be nice if you use it productively. I would just go full smart ass. I know me. I know me too. But then again, there's only just so much stupid you can tolerate. And at some point, you just have to put people in their place. It boggles the mind. Truly does. Truly does.
Circus.
So.
It's just a circus.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, we're going to move to a different compartment of the train. But before we do, we're going to do a quick commercial. So, Tracy, would you please do me a favor for the benefit of everybody watching right now or who will be watching later on, and tell people where they can find you on social media and what they can do to help you out in your efforts?
Well, thank you. You can find me here on YouTube under GenX Marks the Spot, or on X at Tracy Barkley. That's where I live most of the time. I'm on Rumble, but it's under my old channel name. I haven't done much updating over there. And I know the Wingnuts are probably like, you need to come over here more. And I do. I need to do more on Rumble, but I just haven't done it yet, but I will. And, but that's where you can find me. I'd appreciate your subscription or your follow. And, I do tend to do a lot of stuff on the lighter side, such as movies and GenX, what's a good way to, GenX memories, GenX nostalgia, as well as true crime. So if you like those things, definitely come over and check it out.
Okay. And for my part, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I've got a channel on Rumble and I got a channel on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, would you please do me a favor and give me a sub? We just recently went over 1,000 on YouTube, and I am very thankful to everybody. And I'd like to see it keep on going and growing. So anything you can do to help me out in that regard is always greatly appreciated. Spread the word around to your friends and say, hey, this guy's a little bit goofy, but he acts like he knows what he's talking about. And share the links, leave a thumbs up, all those things. I cover politics, pop culture. We do interviews here on the channel. And, you know, we're rocking and rolling. We're having a good time doing it. So with that, let us move to a different compartment of the train. And late this morning, you can't really call it a tweet. Do you call it a truth? A truth post went out from Donald Trump, and he announced something that's been sort of in the wind for a little while. And that is there is a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. And I've got some details on it, and I'll probably be doing...
I've heard it's more of a hostage-free thing and a temporary ceasefire. It's not a permanent end to the war.
Well, not a permanent end, but at least it's something to at least start the ball rolling, maybe to negotiate this. And I'm hearing it from different people. This thing's got some, and I got to do some investigating. So y'all give me a little bit of time here, because I'm probably going to wind up doing a video just on this subject, probably for tomorrow night. But I'm going to give you Trump's statement on it, and then we're going to dive into the details, at least as we've got them right now. So with that, we go to Truth Social for the following. Quote, this epic ceasefire agreement can only have happened as a result of our historic victory in November, as a signal to the entire world that my administration, this is Donald Trump speaking, would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and their loved ones. With this epic deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of our special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never again becomes a terrorist safe haven. We will continue promoting peace through strength throughout the region as we build upon our momentum of this ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. This is only the beginning of great things to come for America and indeed the world. We have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House and my administration is fully confirmed so they can secure more victories for the United States. Okay. Trump seems pretty happy with himself, but let's see now if he has a reason to be happy. And with that, we go to the pages of the Associated Press. A look at the terms and the tensions in the Israel-Hamas draft of the ceasefire. Now, let me also say before we dig into this thing is not ratified by all the parties. The Israelis still have to look this thing over and decide if they want to do it, which, what I'm given to understand, that may happen by Friday, maybe Saturday at the latest.
Yeah.
But here's what we've got so far that we know of. And this is written by Lee Keith and Sammy Magdi. Dateline Cairo. If the Israel-Hamas ceasefire goes according to the current draft, then fighting will stop in Gaza for 42 days, and a dozen Israeli hostages and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners will be freed. In this first phase, Israeli troops will pull back to the edges of Gaza, and many Palestinians will be able to return to what remains of their homes as stepped-up aid flows in. The question is if the ceasefire will survive beyond the first phase. That will depend on even more negotiations meant to begin within weeks. In those talks, Israel, Hamas, and the U.S., Egyptian, and Qatari mediators will have to tackle the tough issue of how Gaza will be governed, with Israel demanding the elimination of Hamas. Without a deal within those 42 days to begin the second phase, Israel could resume its campaign in Gaza to destroy Hamas, even as dozens of hostages remain in militants' hands. Hamas has agreed to a draft of the ceasefire deal, 2 officials confirmed, but Israeli officials say details are still being worked out, meaning some terms could change or the whole deal could even fall through. Here's a look at the plan and the potential pitfalls in the draft as seen by the Associated Press. Phase 1. Hamas releases 33 hostages, including female civilians and soldiers, children, and civilians over 50. Israel releases 30 Palestinian prisoners for each civilian hostage and 50 for each female soldier. Ooh, I do not like that ratio.
No, I don't either.
I don't like that.
That's
Halt
too
to
many.
fight. Yeah, it's way
1 to 1. It should be 1 to 1.
And I'm beginning to see what up in Connecticut's getting at here. So, okay, let's go a little further. A halt to the fighting. Israeli forces pull out of the populated areas to the edges of the Gaza Strip. Displaced Palestinians begin returning home. More aid enters the Strip. Now, that's the first 42 days. Phase 2. A declaration of, quote, sustainable calm. Hamas frees remaining male hostages, soldiers, and civilians in exchange for a yet-to-be negotiated number of Palestinian prisoners and a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip. All right. Phase 3. Bodies of deceased Israeli hostages exchanged for bodies of deceased Palestinians. Implementation of a reconstruction plan in Gaza. Border crossings for movement in and out of Gaza are reopened. Which hostages and how many Palestinians will be released is complicated. The 33 will include women, children, and those over 50, almost all civilians, but the deal also commits Hamas to free all living female soldiers. Hamas will release living hostages first, but if the living don't complete the 33 number, bodies will be handed over. Not all hostages are held by Hamas, so getting other militant groups to hand them over could be an issue. In exchange, Israel will free 30 Palestinian women, children, or elderly for every living civilian hostage freed. Okay, now that clarifies a little bit.
Yeah, they're not. It doesn't sound like they're turning loose a bunch of terrorists. It's women, children, and elderly. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I still don't like the ratio.
I agree with you. There.
I think it should be 1 to 1, and I think all the hostages should be freed up front. That's just me. Phase 1, free them all, including the Americans. I would assume some of those are probably Americans, maybe. But, I'm not liking the ratio. I don't like the complete withdrawal from Gaza of Israel because who's going to police it? We can't trust these people to do what they're supposed to do and not rebuild Hamas. Hamas has been set back about 50 years. They're not going to be issue. As long as we deal with, I think Trump's probably going to deal with Iran, and that cuts off
the
majority
money
of the financing for them, the Houthi and the Hezbollah. That cuts off all the money. I think that'll probably seal the deal, but still.
Yeah.
How much of a stockpile do these people have?
Let's see. What else do we have here? For each female soldier freed, Israel frees 50 Palestinian prisoners, including 30 serving life sentences.
Again.
Yeah.
Women in combat.
Yeah.
What kind of deals? That deal was cut by a man because he values the female life over the male life. If they were all male soldiers, it would be a 1 to 1 exchange.
Yeah. So these are the details as we have them right now. And as you might expect, everybody tried to take credit for it instantly. Now, there's just one little problem, though.
Times of Israel, who's on site, have quoted Arab leaders on both sides saying that Trump's envoy did what Biden had not been able to do since it happened.
Yep, and we've got that Times of Israel story. Let me pull this up. Headline, Arab officials. Trump envoy swayed Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year. Tense Jerusalem sit-down led to a breakthrough in the talks, with Israel and Hamas agreeing in principle to hostage deal 2 days later, sides now finalizing implementation details. Article by Jacob Magid. We have the following. Dateline Jerusalem. A tense weekend meeting between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and incoming Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff led to a breakthrough in the hostage negotiations, with the top aide to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump doing more to sway the premier in a single sit-down meeting than outgoing President Joe Biden did all year, 2 Arab officials told the Times of Israel on Tuesday. Witkoff had been in Doha for the past week to take part in the hostage negotiations as mediators try to secure a deal before Trump's January 20th inauguration. On Saturday, Witkoff flew to Israel for a meeting with Netanyahu at the premier's Jerusalem office. During the meeting, Witkoff urged Netanyahu to accept 2 key compromises necessary for the agreement. 2 Arab officials said on Monday. Neither Witkoff nor Netanyahu's office responded to requests for comment. On Monday night, 2 days after the Jerusalem meeting, Israeli and Hamas negotiating teams notified mediators they had accepted the hostage deal proposal in principle. The 2 officials said the sides have been working since working to finalize the details regarding the implementation of the agreement. One of the main issues that is yet to be finalized is the exact parameters of the IDF's withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, with mediators still waiting for a map from Israel laying this out, Arab officials said.
I think Netanyahu's going to have a hard time getting Israeli parliament to ratify that. They're probably going to not withdraw much from Gaza, and they're probably going to demand less Palestinian hostages freed, I would imagine. Or this could be a whole thing where this is kind of a diversion and there is no phase 2 because they're going to catch them off their guard and just finish the job.
That is possible. And like I said, Trump made no bones about the fact, hey, we got a deal. Biden, interestingly enough, went immediately to the microphone
and took credit
to try to take credit for it. And I believe I have a snippet of a clip from
and a reporter asked him about it. It was this you or Trump.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that one. Hang on.
And he was highly offended.
I can just imagine.
He can't pour his own cereal in the morning, Brian.
Yeah, that's true too.
He's not negotiating anything, and no one on his team is negotiating anything. If they were going to negotiate anything, this would have been settled a long time ago.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a clip here from friend Biden, and let me tell you something. Not only am I going to be glad to see Uncle Joe gone, I cannot wait to be rid of Anthony Blinken. I really can't. That man is an absolute menace to peace around the world. So I'll tell you what, this clip runs about a minute or 2, but worth probably every bit of it. So, folks, if you need a little more Joe Biden in your life, we're trying to help you as he's going out the door. So with that, here you go.
And one day success. 700 days of failure and 1 day success. Well, we've had many difficult days since Hamas began its terrible war. We've encountered roadblocks and setbacks. We've not given up. And now, after more than 400 days of struggle, the day of success has arrived. God bless all the hostages and their families. May God protect the troops of all those who work for peace.
Mr. President, how do you see the future of Gaza now? As you were saying, the implementation of this deal will be in the hands of the next administration. And basically, they will shape the future of Gaza. So how do you see this future? And also, how much credit do you give to the Trump team for this deal? Trump is already taking credit for it.
Well, this is the exact framework of the deal I proposed back in May. Exact. And we got the world to endorse it. Secondly, it's America's support for Israel that helped them badly weaken Hamas and its backers and create the conditions for this deal. And thirdly, I knew this deal would have to be implemented by the next team. So I told my team to coordinate closely with the incoming team to make sure we're all speaking with the same voice.
Oh my God, this man. He can't help himself. He just cannot help himself. Yeah, the same deal I proposed back in May, and nobody listened to you. If it was such a great...
Trump speaks peace through strength.
How come if it was such a great deal that no one took off with it before that? But when Trump says these hostages better be freed before I become president, I'm going to turn hell loose on you people. And then all of a sudden,
2 years later, or however many months later, because Biden's a weak, feeble old man. No one takes him seriously. They don't take Blinken seriously. They don't take Kamala seriously, but they do take Trump seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I many years ago, when I was a much younger man, in my political philosophy class in college, I was required to read Machiavelli's The Prince. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I will never forget from reading that portion of Machiavelli that we did is a question that it was a rhetorical question that Machiavelli asked the prince, which was probably one of the members of the Medici family.
He was the Medici family, yeah.
Yeah. And he said, is it better to be feared or loved? Machiavelli argued it is better to be feared. You can be loved later on, but the people around you need to fear you. Mm-hmm. Love can happen later on down the line. And, when you love them that way, you can be a little less cruel and they will love. Oh, he's not nearly as mean as he was. He's not nearly as mean today as he was yesterday. Oh, what a great ruler. Not that necessarily Trump is being, purely Machiavellian or Medici in his actions, but you understand where he's coming from. There are just some people in the world, the only thing they're going to understand is force or the threat thereof. And Trump gets it. There are some people in the world, they're not going to operate with our kind of niceness.
It was either Medici or one of the the oldest Borgia son.
Yep.
But the Borgias, the Pope, the ecclesiastical royal family, the Borgias.
Yeah, the Borgia. There's the Borgias.
It was either the oldest Borgia or the oldest Borgia son, or it was Medici. I'm not sure which one he wrote it about, but it's one of those Italian power families.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, there's either this is something to get something started and then they're going to finish it later, or Trump is stalling because he's going to do something to take Iran out of the deal. And then it'll all just kind of take care of itself. If there's no money, they're not going to be able to do anything.
And that's the part that just frustrates you the most. When Trump left office in 2021, Iran, and more particularly Hamas and Hezbollah, but Hamas in particular, they were financially dying on the vine. Trump had managed to isolate the Iranians, cut off their ability to do anything through oil, and basically the everything else on the vine was withering.
And then
what does Biden do?
Reversed all of that and gave them billions of dollars.
And
he
then
said
what happened?
Holding for them.
And then what happens next? Give it about 10 months later, Hamas is back in business, and you've got attacks in Israel, which again, there's a certain amount of question. What did the Israelis know or what didn't they know prior to October 6th?
It could be that they wanted an excuse to take them out, and you can't hardly blame them. I mean, I question their methods. A lot of innocent people died. But you can't hardly blame them for wanting a reason to take them out because they know they're just sitting over there simmering.
Yep, absolutely.
I think if that is the case, I think it would have been much better for Netanyahu if he had prepared for it in secret. And when it happened, they just repelled it. That still would have been an excuse for them to go in and deal with it.
Yep, absolutely. And even the State Department acknowledges that the Trump team had a lot to do with what happened. I've got a clip here. This is the last one related to this segment, but it bears listening to. So, folks, do me a favor and enjoy and check this one out. Hit it, Smokey.
When it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line. And it's been critical because, obviously, as I stand here today, this administration's term in office will expire in 5 days. And one of the things that we have always said about this deal is that when you get from stage 1 to stage 2, that the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are the guarantors of this deal. And Egypt and Qatar will push Hamas to stay at the bargaining table and to get from stage 1 to stage 2. And the United States will push Israel to stay at the bargaining table to get from phase 1 and phase 2. So obviously those are promises we cannot make on behalf of the United States for any longer than the next 5 days. And so it's critical that all of the parties to the agreement and the other mediators see that when the United States is in the room making commitments, those are lasting commitments that extend beyond this administration into the next one. I would just say, lastly, I don't know if it's unprecedented to have envoys from an outgoing and an incoming administration sitting at the same table negotiating a ceasefire agreement of this kind. But if it's not unprecedented, it's certainly unusual. And we, of course, thank the Trump team for working with this on this ceasefire agreement. We think it's important that they were at the table.
Yeah, so even Biden's State Department realizes, if we didn't have Trump's people on this, this might not have happened. So,
and how many conversations do you think happened with, I think he's calling them Gettr, but Gettr, how many conversations do you think has had there? Somebody from Trump, they either fear Trump or somebody. Look, I have a good friend. He worked in military intelligence a long time. And he said that if he was part of this with Israel or even Russia, that he himself would have picked up the phone and called the head of Gettr.
Yep.
And said, hey, you better bring the Hamas leaders to the bargaining table, or I'm going to come after you. Not Gettr. You.
Mm-hmm.
You will wake up with special forces over your bed. I will come after you, and then we will bomb Gettr back into the Stone Ages. So you better help us deal with this. And he would have made the same call to Tehran and told the Ayatollah, I'm coming after you.
Yep.
And I guarantee you that's something of that nature happened. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And but at this point, the details are being worked out. It's out there. Like I said, I'm going to probably do a video on this thing tomorrow night to take a deep dive on it. But talk about historic parallel. 1981, Reagan is being inaugurated into his first term. And as he is taking the oath of office from then the late Chief Justice Warren Burger, American hostages are released from Tehran, from the U.S. Embassy, and they're on their way home via Germany and then Washington, D.C. And
because they fear strong men. They fear strong Western men.
Yeah.
They know we have the capability to wipe them off the face of the earth. They know that. And they know that you have a strong person that, even though it would be very distasteful, they would do it.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's see what happens from here, but hopefully
we need to put some sanctions on Gettr. Gettr is an enemy of the United States. They harbor the leaders of Hamas. We need to put them on America's Most Wanted list right next to Iran, and they need to be treated as such.
Qatar, Yemen, there's a whole bunch of countries that we need to
do something about Turkey too.
Erdogan needs
an ally, but they talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, there's some people in the Middle East, certain nations that need a serious attitude adjustment. Just saying.
We need to go in there and we need to talk to the UAE. We need to talk to Saudi Arabia and say, you back us on this stuff and we're going to make you very powerful over here.
Exactly.
I guarantee you they would.
Yep. And with that, we're going to turn it back over to Tracy. But before we do, a quick commercial. If you happen to have found this live stream tonight and you're saying, wow, these guys are smart, intelligent, and dang if they're not good looking. Well, let me tell you something. We do this every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. And this wonderful lady right over here is Tracy Barkley from GenX Marks the Spot. My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. And this is the Wednesday Night Newsroom. So if you like what we're doing, why don't you go ahead and go out to both of our channels. She's on YouTube. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. Go ahead and subscribe to both of us. Hit the like button. share the link around, leave some comments in chat. As the late Jack Buck said, go crazy, St. Louis, and everywhere else in the world for that matter. So with that, we'll hand it back over to Tracy. Darling, what do you want to talk about?
Want to talk about James O'Keefe and the bombshell story that he dropped. You know what? His people over at Project Veritas, pulling their dirty shenanigans and forcing him out was the best thing that ever happened to independent media, because he has just gone rogue since then. And O'Keefe Media Group has put out some wonderful, wonderful undercover stories. And just broke last night, a operative with the Pentagon, former Hillary Clinton staffer, admitted to a date that he has been in talks behind the scenes with 3- and 4-star generals on how they can protect, quote unquote, protect the American people from President Trump, i.e., commit high treason and subvert Trump. And just about an hour later, he received James O'Keefe reached out to the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, for a comment. Within an hour and 15 minutes, they had replied to him saying that that consultant was no longer employed by the Pentagon.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, my.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
if you would, I sent to you in private chat. I have the undercover video there.
Okay.
And just play a little bit of it. You don't have to play the whole thing. Right. It's like an hour's report. Just play a little bit of it.
All right. Yeah, let's do the intro on this. As always, folks, sit back. Hope you got your popcorn ready. And, hey, Smokey, roll 'em. Oh, wait a minute. Smokey, give me some sound, dude.
Awesome.
All right, Smokey. All right, you ready? You got it. You got sound now? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Roll, Smokey.
Jamie Menina, the top advisor to the Joint Chief of Staff at the Pentagon, has been terminated. This from Joseph R. Holstead, Joint Staff Public Affairs at the Pentagon. Quote, the alleged comments by Menina do not reflect the positions of the chairman or the Joint Staff. Furthermore, the chairman looks forward to working as President-elect Donald J. Trump, principal military advisor in the next administration. We caught up on the phone with Joseph R. Holstead. Here's more of what he had to say.
He is currently at Booz Allen. He is not at the Joint Staff.
Now, Holstead went on to confirm that Menina indeed was an advisor to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The Pentagon was, meaning a day or two ago.
Did he ever work in the Joint Staff?
Yes, he did.
When questioned if Menina had been terminated due to OMG's undercover investigation, Holstead responded, yeah, that's a standard practice with contractors, referring to Menina contracting with Booz Allen Hamilton.
And because of this investigation, was he terminated, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's the standard practice with contractors.
This time around, I mean, last time the FBI raided me. I know that you've been through some things. And when I confronted him, I actually said, what are you going to do, raid me? I almost taunted him a little bit. I think the difference is they are demoralized and obviously discouraged. And I think that that's making a big difference in their inability to, what are they going to do to us at this point? You know, we've caught them dead to rights. They're admitting it. They're being fired. So the hunter, I like to say, has become the hunted. The people that were hunting us are now being hunted by people they were hunting prior. And it's a big deal that what he's saying. And I think it's going to hopefully deter a lot of other bad actors in the government.
And I work at this top consulting firm, and my client is the Pentagon. So I'm embedded in the Pentagon. I work in the Joint Staff, which is the top military command. Once you lost, I went into the intelligence community and I became an FBI special agent. So I became a spy hunter. So I was a counterintelligence agent, special agent at the FBI.
What's your overall assessment of Trump?
He's a sociopathic narcissist who is only interested in advancing his name, his wealth, and his fame.
Is there anything you can do to protect American people from stuff that he might try to do?
I'm in conversation with a couple of retired generals to try to explore what we can do.
Who were the retired generals that you were going to talk to?
They're like 1, 2, or 3-star generals and admirals. You probably know maybe 4 stars. So I also have a big day tomorrow, probably the biggest day of all. So we have this huge meeting with military leaders in a very secure room called the Tank.
Ooh.
So we have a tank meeting with like all of the top leaders in the United States military tomorrow on my topic that I prepared.
So it went well.
I think it went well. Very sensitive information. We're gonna have to keep it between us.
But it's not. Oh my God.
Now, you have to wonder how much of that was just some drunk guy or tipsy guy trying to impress a date. But it's still concerning, nevertheless.
Okay, some comments just for my part. Dude, I don't care if you're tipsy or not. And I'm sorry, she might be hotter than a $2 pistol. But the stuff that you're engaged in here, you don't run your mouth to anybody until the deal goes down, or even after the deal goes down, you still keep your mouth shut.
If you're in that kind of high level intelligence, you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Loose lips sink ships, my friend.
And this time,
you sank your own.
Well, not just saying his own. If what this guy is saying is true, I mean, let's now look. Let's pull back and analyze this thing for a second.
Mm-hmm.
This man is admitting that there are a group of retired military out there, 1, 2, 3-star generals, maybe 4 in some cases, some admirals that want to do things to deter the actions of the current or the soon-to-be commander-in-chief of the United States military and the executive of the government of the United States. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're just talking about political monkey wrench stuff, that's bad, but not necessarily rising to the level of constitutionally actionable matters. If, on the other hand, you're talking about stuff that interferes with the execution of his daily duties and his constitutional responsibilities, that's past political monkey wrenching stuff. That's getting into the action of treason and sedition.
Yeah, no,
okay?
It depends on what the course of those conversations were.
Depending upon what it was that
Right.
these guys were talking about in the tank, okay?
What they're doing, but it's still walking that line in either case. And it's scary. It's scary to think that there are people within our Pentagon that would, just out and out refuse to follow the orders of the president as given to them by their Secretary of Defense. And the fact that he said he's a sociopathic narcissist only interested in wealth. In fact, Trump lost money being president. Can we stop this foolish rumor that he's all about wealth? He lost, his net worth went down significantly when he was president. It's going to go down again because he doesn't take a salary. He does everything he does for free. And then maybe he is a bit of a narcissist, but you know what? Narcissists sometimes in power are good because they don't want to look bad. They'll do everything they can to make sure they succeed so they look good. I don't mind having a narcissist. You could say every politician out there is a narcissist.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, okay, big deal. And sociopath? No, Trump cares way too much for his family and for other people to be a sociopath. So there I have shot down everything you threw up. No, you're just a crazy with TDS that has now lost their job because you couldn't help but run your mouth. Now, whether what you were saying was true, I don't know. But I hope they confiscated the dude's laptop and and somebody that is loyal to this country takes possession of that and waits until the administration changes, and they see what was on that to see who these and to see who these generals and admirals are and bring them in for questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. TBA says, OMG strikes again. Quote, keep it in your pants, dude. I smell a purge coming. TBA, you're probably not wrong on that one, brother. You're probably not wrong on that.
That consulting firm, how many people are they gonna fire? How many people are the Pentagon gonna fire?
Yep. Absolutely.
To purge out these bad actors, because even if they don't like Trump, even if the person overseeing it hates Trump, to save their own ass, they're going to purge some people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling.
And that contractor should lose their contract with the Pentagon, having an employee that would go run their mouth. What else are they running their mouth about?
Great question. Great question. Something else that I've never understood, and I've talked about this with my buddy Smiling Jack. I've never understood why former employees of the federal government or former congressmen or former senators still have top secret clearance.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. Strip them. They're out of the federal government, either as an employee or as a member of the Congress. Strip them of their top security clearance. Why in God's name are we letting these people have access to some of these government documents?
The fact that most of them go to work for a contractor of some sort for all kinds of big bucks, and they manipulate and just forward the they're really out for their current company more than anything, and they forward, they try to forward their agenda, and so I like that Hegseth is saying that perhaps a law is in order to prevent former Congress people from working for government contractors for a period of time. I think that's very, very fair. I don't think you should be able to walk out of office right into some juicy government contracting role, because in lots of cases, you probably choose not to run for re-election to get that juicy spot because it probably pays double what Congress pays.
Yep.
And I think you should be banned. If I'm a congressman, I should be banned from working for the Rand Corporation for a period of 5 to 8 years after I leave Congress.
Well, at least that. I would argue 10.
Yeah.
At least 10, because that way one of the blessings of being able to the current system is you leave Congress, you've got all the immediate contacts, you know who all the people are, and you can just plug right in. Take about 10 years. Yeah. Take about 10 years. You don't know who the players are. Circumstances can change. You being the hot commodity coming out of Congress may not be the case anymore. So I say put a 10-year ban on them.
The same for not just government contractors, but the same for political action committees.
Yep.
Or any, like, I should not be allowed to go to work for Pfizer as a lobbyist. Okay, if I'm scientific minded, maybe I can go to work for Pfizer in their lab or as an executive or something that doesn't have direct, pull with the government. But I should not be allowed into any job with a company that puts me over government contracts or as a lobbyist trying to convince Congress to vote the way Pfizer wants them to vote. There needs to be some separation there.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, good on O'Keefe for this one. I mean, Alex Jones has been talking about, for a while now, hey, they're going to try and do something before the election. That, we still got X number of days before he's sworn in, may still even try and do something after the election. And O'Keefe may have blown up some or part of that idea.
Yeah, right now, I don't think they're going to try to assassinate him. I don't think, but they may try to subvert him. And so I think this is a first step in blowing some of those traitors right out of Congress. And I think Doge, and if he gets his cabinet, which he probably will, they're going to do a lot of clearing all that out. And they're going to reduce the size of some of these agencies.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm very much looking forward to Trump getting his cabinet, all of them, by the way.
Everybody should get every president has a right to their cabinet.
Yep. Absolutely. And let's get them in. Let's move them along and let's roll. I mean, let's roll. We got stuff to do. So,
but just a brilliant act of journalism there by the O'Keefe Media Group. Just brilliant.
Yep. And then watching him confront the guy. I mean, I don't have the clip pulled up, but I saw a little bit of it today. Oh, that guy was PO'd.
Oh, I haven't seen the confrontation.
Hang on.
Did O'Keefe confront
Yeah,
him?
okay. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Maybe I might be able to find this real fast.
Little dude trying to get laid.
Yep. Hang on one second.
Was it a first date or was it just they met in a bar and were talking?
Of course it's a first date. And
she's a cutie patootie. I understand why you want to impress somebody, but still.
Oh, God, I found it.
Awesome.
I found it. Yep. Here we go. It runs about 10 or 11 minutes. I'm not going to play all of it, but I will play some of it. And this, I mean,
Spy hunter, you say?
Yeah. Well, stop. Not till I get this pulled up. All right, hang on.
Smokey.
Yeah, hang on, Smokey. Don't get too crazy over there on me. All right, folks. Here we go. All right, Smokey. You got it? All right, roll them, dude. Yep, roll it.
Jamie, you're a spy hunter, you say? Well, I'm a spy hunter too, but I'm evidently a better spy hunter than you.
We have no permission to use it.
Actually, we do. It's called the First Amendment. Why would you lie to me?
I'm not lying to you, and I'm not.
Do you lie every day at work?
No, I'm not lying.
Then why did you say that you are working with retired generals?
What are you talking about?
You were a special agent with the FBI. You worked for Hillary Clinton. You work for the State Department. You talk about hunting spies. What if my undercover person was a Russian spy?
Go away, you liar. You're a known fraudster. You have a poor reputation. No one believes you. Go away. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so this is the former FBI special agent. Is that right?
You're an asshole. You're an asshole. Go away. Go away.
There's no reason to get upset, sir.
Yeah, there is a reason. Go away. Leave me alone. Bother people in public.
No, I'm reporting on what you're saying. Because there's a First Amendment in this country, and I recognize you government people don't like.
Behind the First Amendment to get away with your freaking fraud and French.
Well, that fraud is a very serious accusation. That's a form of psychological projection. There you have the government official, quite angry.
Oh no, really? He's quite angry? I never would have guessed.
I love how they start calling people frauds and pranksters and bad reputations. When he was caught on camera saying these things, James O'Keefe is not interjecting anything. He's just asking him about what he actually said.
This guy volunteered this stuff. It's not like, I mean, look.
She didn't bait him into it.
No, she didn't bait him into it. He just starts running his mouth.
You saw how quickly she got the hell out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And James O'Keefe's like,
yep.
Gone. And she deletes her. She's going to delete that fake profile off Tinder real quick.
Oh, my God. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just.
And he's absolutely, what if my undercover agent was a Russian asset?
That is a strictly legitimate question. Okay. This guy's running his mouth. Does he really know this girl well enough to be? I mean, TBA brings up the point over on Rumble. I think they were on several dates. She asked him, how did it go? All right. Let's say that they went out over the course of 2, 3, maybe 4 dates. Okay. Still, you don't know this woman. You don't know who she is. You don't know what she's about. And you're just volunteering this stuff, like pouring water out of a pitcher.
There are military spouses that I know that have been married to their military husband or wife for 20 years, and they don't know lots of stuff that their spouse do when it comes to work.
Yeah. I mean, there are some,
that.
You just don't say certain things. And if this guy truly was engaging in the behavior that he claims or bragged about to this girl on these dates, I'm sorry. Even I've got the good sense to know you don't talk about it. Lie if you must, but do not talk about it.
I mean, he's lost his job now, but wouldn't it be just really kind of funny if it turns out this guy's just an accountant and he was lying about all that. Now that would be funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like the guy. It's kind of like Bill Paxton from True Lies.
Yeah. But I think he's probably correct, and I think he probably has been having conversations with military personnel about how to subvert Trump.
Probably so.
Even if he's not, even if he is a complete liar, it exposes that military contractor, and that company needs to lose their contract with the government.
And
right
this guy will never be hired again by anybody.
And that company, that consulting company that he said he worked for, their contracts with the government need to be terminated immediately. And unfortunately, that's going to cost a lot of people their jobs. But if this idiot's out there running their mouth, what's other people talking about?
Oh, my God.
Another reason the guy was mad is he knew he was caught and it was on film and there's nothing he can do to prevent it because DC's a one-party consent and there's nothing you can do. It's all free and clear.
Wow. Just, yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The people that don't like James O'Keefe are the people that are doing the shenanigans.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's not so much they're even doing the shenanigans. They're getting caught doing them. It's not so much they're mad at O'Keefe. They're mad about the fact they got caught.
And that anybody is allowed to investigate them. They want carte blanche,
Well, and my thing is, I think this was some years back. It was O'Keefe himself. He was being interviewed by Sean Hannity one time, and he made a very valid point. He said 60 Minutes made their name in part on doing what I'm doing right now. He said, how am I any different than the boys from 60 Minutes way back in the day?
Washington Post. That's how Woodward and Bernstein, the original undercovers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How is this any different than what supposed mainstream media has been doing for decades? It's just that with O'Keefe, it's getting turned around on political liberals and political progressives, and they're being exposed for what they are. And
Frontline on PBS.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Frontline
the only
on PBS.
difference is when it used to be liberals exposing corrupt government, it was fine. It was the Republicans screaming you shouldn't be allowed to do this. Now that the roles have reversed, it's the Democrats screaming.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
It's amazing how the parties flip every 50 or 60 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it truly is. I mean, it's really, really amazing. Unbelievable with this stuff. Unbelievable. So, what else you got on this one, dear?
That's all I have. That's the bulk of it. We'll see if there's any fallout with that contractor or with the Pentagon. I would imagine there will be. It may be.
Oh yeah.
Under the rug. Hopefully, James O'Keefe will keep us abreast of any further developments.
Okay.
I'm sure he has other undercover agents out there. It wouldn't surprise me if other people high up are seeing this and now if any shenanigans are going on, they're going to lock it down and stop it, and certainly have a conversation with people that are in the know about not running your mouth.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I'll tell you what, we're at the 2-hour mark. Let me do one last story. And if you don't care, how about we bring it into the station after this one?
That's perfect.
Okay. All right. I came across something today on Twitter and I went, no, this really can't be true. We've got an LA fire update. As y'all know, they're still raging out there. And a lot of investigation has been going into what the heck happened. How did we get here? And believe me, all of it's legitimate at this point, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I did hear, which you guys are probably already aware, and I was listening to Eric Hunley and Mark Grover the other day on their live stream called America's Untold Stories. There is now a legitimate, straight-up recall petition effort going against Karen Bass. And apparently the threshold out in California, or at least in Los Angeles, is very low. They only need 100,000 signatures of citizens of the city of Los Angeles verified in order to get a recall going.
And it has to be on paper, according to Justine Bateman. So Justine Bateman, Patty, Patricia Heaton, a lot of people are out there on the streets getting the stuff signed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And If that woman, if there's not a recall election in Los Angeles by the end of this year, I'll be shocked.
Oh yeah, I think she's
yeah.
going to be recalled, and I think Gavin Newsom's at his term limit, but I would love to see him recalled or recalled before the end of his term.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think politically, as far as his current situation in California, that Gavin's going to get touched. I think that long term, if he has any ambitions outside of California, and he's done.
I think
But I
he's
could be
retired.
wrong.
I think he's retired after this. I mean, he might run for senator in California and get elected because you know how they are. They have a short memory.
Yeah.
But unfortunately.
But Joel Pollack from Breitbart, who is a resident of Los Angeles himself, by the way, ran a story at Breitbart, and I went, no, this can't be true. But firefighter union president, LA Fire Department didn't report because it didn't want to pay overtime.
What?
Now you hang on a minute.
They didn't report the fire?
Hang on. Article by Joel Pollack, Dateline Los Angeles. Freddie Escobar, the president of the United Firefighters of Los Angeles County, told Breitbart on Monday that the Palisades fire was the latest example of the city of Los Angeles being neglected by its leaders. Quote, I have been on the board of the Los Angeles Fire Department for 17 years. And for years now, for decades, the LA Fire Department has been neglected by its leaders, Escobar said. They have not addressed a woefully understaffed fire department. We need 62 new stations, 100 more firefighters and medics, more engines, more trucks, more medics. We are woefully understaffed. Escobar, now listen to this. Escobar said the disaster itself was the result of extreme winds and the man upstairs. But the sheer scale of the fire, some 24,000 acres burned in the Palisades fire alone, plus an additional 14,000 acres burned by the Eaton fire on the eastern side of the city, was the result of lack of resources, especially personnel, in the hours before the fire. Quote, prevented? I don't know. But more could have helped if we had the resources we've been asking for that we need in a city that's been neglected by its leaders for decades. The scale of the fire has affected the department itself. 3 firefighters lost their own homes while fighting the Eaton fire. Moreover, the disaster was compounded by the absence of Mayor Karen Bass, who left to attend a presidential inauguration in Ghana, despite knowing the extremely high winds, the potential for spreading fires were coming. A little bit further, firefighters have privately been scathing in their condemnation of city leadership, with one of them telling Breitbart that firefighters were not pre-deployed to handle the Palisades fire before last Tuesday's extreme winds because, get ready, of a lack of personnel resources. Escobar agreed, saying that LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley had made an operating funds decision not to pre-deploy. Quote, you have to pay overtime, Escobar explained, noting that the department was reluctant to do so. Indeed, in Bass's much criticized budget, which cut expenditures on the fire department by $17.5 million, they slashed the overtime budget by $19 million. Basically, the upshot of all that is this. The firefighters were not pre-deployed in and around Los Angeles on the grounds that they did not want to tap already limited overtime monies that they were going to have to pay out.
Okay, let me paint this picture.
Oh, please do.
You have Karen Bass cutting the training budget, the personnel new hiring budget, and the support staff new hiring budget of the Los Angeles Fire Department by $17.5 million. But then raising the salaries of the bigwigs and the existing personnel to the tune of $50 million a year, but cutting their ability to hire anybody else, train anybody else, hire service personnel. There is about There's over 100 fire engines, I believe, sitting there that are not rolling because they need repairs, and there's not the mechanic staff to repair them.
Yeah.
They cut the overtime by $19 million.
Yep.
Or reduced it to $19 million, leaving them understaffed, overworked, and with not enough people to cover the city. And so to continue to save money, they knew that these fires were lit and getting out of control, and was especially swell out of control when the winds hit them on Tuesday. They knew about these fires on Sunday, just like Gavin Newsom did. He didn't even deploy the National Guard until Tuesday. And in addition, they didn't. So this was an all-around screw up by state of California and the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are so many, and again, there are arguments that are going to be had and made for days and weeks and months to come and years to come. Was this intentional? Was this just malfeasance? Okay, I've got some thoughts on it all the way around, and I'm not necessarily trying to restart those discussions. But in the end, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be losing homes, monetary value of their assets. The city is just uninsured. Yeah, uninsured. And
underinsured because they replaced the private insurance that they ran out of the state because they wouldn't let them raise premiums with a government-funded insurance, which from what I understand is ungodly expensive. So a lot of people can only afford very, very minimum coverage through it.
Yep.
So they're underinsured.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Oh, and let me pile on this incredible pile of dog shit.
Please do.
The arsonists that they have caught in and around California, around LA. Some of them out and out starting fires. But also there is a tradition and a trend among the huge homeless population that they have invited into the city and wasted millions of dollars through these non-governmental organizations to get them housed, and that none of that has happened. So instead, they've just given them free needles. So these homeless people are lighting fires to stay warm. Some of them have gotten out of control and started fires before. So they think it's a combination of that. Out and out arsons by an illegal immigrant. That's a whole other pile of shit. And they probably think there's also a couple of extremists out there, Palestinian extremists out there starting fires. And then on top of that, you have people not extinguishing campfires, and then the wind. And do I think this was on purpose? No, I don't. But I think they're going to take advantage of the crisis. And I think the government of California is going to buy up all that land cheap because there's going to be people that can't afford to build back. And they're just going to buy that land cheap and develop it however the state of California wants to develop it.
Yeah, and if you want to get an idea for what the mentality of California is going to be like in post-rebuilding, here's a Dilbert cartoon that ran a couple of days ago. The fire is heading our way. Should we remove the big tree next to our house so it doesn't ignite the roof? Dilbert says, I can't. The city has to approve the removal of trees above a certain circumference, and that could take weeks. So Dogbert says, so your only plan is to let the house burn to the ground? Dilbert says, no, I also have a plan to do some looting later.
Yeah, and that's another thing. They're saying that there's these looting gangs that started fires so that they could go in and loot afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Which that makes no sense because the houses are burned. What are you going to get out of them? That makes no sense to me. But.
Yeah. And here's something for, and by the way, what's it like to order a pizza in California right now? Well, just saying, might come in a little crispier than you planned for.
And Patty, I did watch a report from, I forget the news agency, it's a fairly respected one, about the Maui survivors. A lot of them are rebuilding. It's just taking forever. A lot of them are still living in RVs at the site of their former homes, which is really sad that it's taken this long, and they're still trying to circumnavigate the red tape that it's going to take to rebuild in Maui. And a lot of them have taken these developers' money that are willing to buy the land just for a quick settlement to go on and rebuild somewhere else. So like I said, there's going to be organizations that attempt to take advantage of this crisis. I'm not saying that the government had anything to do with it. Certainly their lack of oversight had something to do with it. That we didn't even get into the reservoirs not having water and all the water wasted. And the fact that the family that owns the wonderful company pretty much controls all of California's water for the sake of the nut industry.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things there that contributed to it.
Yep.
I don't think it was government did it on purpose, but I do think it had a lot to do with it. And I think they're going to take advantage of the crisis. Even though they say they're going to remove all the red tape for these people to build back, there's going to be some people that simply can't afford to build back.
Yep, absolutely.
And yeah.
It's terrible.
And the government's just going to buy up the land and probably build the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, TBA says 15-minute cities for LA, and let's not forget the people in Tennessee, Western North Carolina, and Georgia that are living in tents from Helene and from floods. It's criminal. Yeah, you're right, TBA. You get no argument from me, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hear the term criminal negligence being thrown around more and more all the time, and you know what? I can't disagree with that.
Oh, they're offering them their $700 now too. They're $770. So what did Biden mean about we're gonna give them all the money? They're not going to give them. They're not going to give all because Trump's going to be in power.
Exactly.
If he does, I mean, Matt Johnson's already talking about they have to change their entire forestry procedure before the federal government will give them money.
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
This has got. I mean, I was talking about this with a family member of mine. This has got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, California does what California does, and then the consequences of their actions lead to very bad results. And then they turn around to the government and go, well, we've had another disaster caused by our own actions and our own desires and our own results. Now you need to bail us out of it. No, you change your behavior, then we'll start talking about trying to help you.
And then they were crime ridden up until the point that the people of California just voted on Proposition 36 to reverse all of that and start making shoplifting a crime again. But the damage is already done. You've already got all these stores that have moved out of certain areas. They'll never return. They're not going to come back. They've sought greener pastures. You have tons of small businesses that have closed as a result of the crime. They learned their lesson too late. They have a short memory. If California doesn't start installing Republicans, independents, or at least Democrats that give a shit, it's going to be a third world country. It's already a third world country, but it's going to be even more of a third world country.
I was watching a clip, and let me get these two comments, and then I'll drop my comment.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. WWG1 says over on Rumble, it doesn't sound like negligence to me if they are already planning 15-minute cities in the exact spots that are burning. It sounds planned. What are their motives? Pretend they are competent rather than incompetent. What would motivate them to do this? Oh, good questions all the way around. I was watching a clip the other day from the Megyn Kelly show, and she said, Megyn made the comment, I have a friend out in LA who is about as woke as it gets. And there are certain subjects we just don't talk about. We're friends, we love each other, but they're just some things, nope. So, Megyn Kelly calls up her friend out in LA to try and get in contact, say, are you okay? Da, da, da. And as they're talking, she's like, this woke friend of Megyn Kelly says, everyone I know, every one of my friends, we're all ready to vote Republican. We're done. And I'm like, ooh, if that's any indication of the general mood,
nice, good,
then here we go. So
then you got idiots like Bill Burr saying he thinks they're doing a great job. I hope that was satire, but I don't think it was.
Tragically, it probably
really
wasn't. What
they're doing is great work. You think what's going on right now is great work? Really?
I know. Just crazy. I tell you what, let's go ahead and bring this train into the station. Folks, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight for the Wednesday night newsroom. As always, thank you for the likes, for the comments. Thank you for sharing the link. Tracy, what have you got coming up on your channel? Where can people find you on social media? What can they do to help you out?
Oh, yeah. I am on GenX Marks the Spot here on YouTube, at Tracy Barkley on X, and I have a couple of new videos coming out. One is one that I just finished up today. It is my take on what would happen if Dexter met Jeffrey Dahmer. It's going to be quite an interesting little video essay that I wrote. I just finished editing it today. I also have a discussion on the Matrix franchise with our good friend Darius Simpson from Real Talk with Darius that will be dropping either this week or next week. And I'm going to be doing a deep dive on the wonderful corporation of California to really delve into what's going on with the water rights in California.
Those are all very good, and they sound really good. So, Tracy, as always, thank you for being here. Folks, you can find me on Rumble. You can find me on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Hit the thumbs up button, share the links around, leave comments. I'm going to have a video up tomorrow. I'm going to do a dive into this Israel-Hamas peace deal. I will go ahead and let everybody know now. I am traveling this weekend, so Front Porch Brunch will not be happening. However, on Monday, I'm doing a live stream for the inauguration. So I'm going to send out some invites. Tracy, as always, if you're available, you are welcome to sit in on it, darling.
Would love to be. Is it going to be during the day or Monday night?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be during the day. It will be during the day.
I'll probably have to pop in the middle of work, but I will pop in. So we'll definitely
love
be there.
that. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, TBAS is during the day. I'll probably start it at around 11 a.m. Eastern, just for some commentary. And definitely we want to catch the swearing in of J.D. Vance as vice president. Most certainly we want to catch the swearing in of Trump. And yeah, so this is going to be a load of fun. But yes, there's no Front Porch Brunch this weekend as I will be doing some traveling. So love you guys very much. Tracy, hang on a second. We'll say some goodbyes backstage. Thank you guys again for being here for the Wednesday night newsroom. Next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll be over on Tracy's channel. GenX marks the spot. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love you and have a great night.